Okay, I want you to imagine walking into a room and every single person genuinely lights up when they see you. Or imagine having this quiet, unwavering power to just diffuse a totally angry confrontation with a few carefully chosen words. In our world right now, which is, let's face it, increasingly dominated by glowing screens, fleeting digital likes, and totally disconnected remote interactions, the people who actually master this deeply analog skill, they hold the ultimate advantage. Now, you might be thinking this requires some rare, elusive charisma you have to be born with, but what if I told you it's actually a completely learnable, practical skill? Welcome to an explainer that's going to fundamentally shift how you interact with literally everyone around you. Today, we're unpacking the legendary insights from Dale Carnegie's masterpiece, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and we're distilling them into a journey that will forever change the way you look at human connection. Let's dive in.
So what is the deepest human craving? I actually want you to close your eyes for just a second. Picture a moment in your recent past when you felt completely unseen. Maybe you worked late for weeks on a grueling project, or you went way out of your way to help a friend out, and nothing. It went completely unnoticed, not a single word of thanks. Do you feel that cold, hollow sting in your chest? That intense frustration of being talked over or just taken for granted? Now flip that. Contrast that with the profound, radiant warmth of a moment when someone looked you dead in the eye and deeply, sincerely appreciated you for exactly who you are. That stark difference, that wild emotional swing from feeling totally invisible to incredibly valued, that right there is the absolute core of all human behavior.
And the pioneering psychologist and philosopher William James, he didn't just call this a passing wish or some polite societal desire. He explicitly called it a craving. The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. Think about the immense weight of that specific word for a second. A craving isn't just a preference, right? It's an absolute necessity. It is this gnawing, unfaltering heart hunger that drives almost everything we do. It's this desperate longing for validation. Honestly, every building we construct, every piece of art we make, even every argument we start, almost always traces back to this singular, burning need to feel like we actually matter to somebody else. And this profound emotional truth, it forms the absolute bedrock of Dale Carnegie's timeless work. You know, it's actually incredibly hard for us to accept this reality. We all love to sit back and believe that we're these deeply rational, logical beings who make decisions based entirely on facts and data. But as Carnegie realized over 80 years ago, when we're dealing with people, we've got to constantly remind ourselves that we aren't interacting with creatures of cold, calculating logic. Not at all. We are interacting with creatures of intense emotion, creatures who are bristling with prejudices, fiercely protective of their own egos, and motivated almost entirely by pride and vanity. So that brings us to the foundation of connection. Phase 1. We really have to realize that understanding this emotion is the absolute baseline for navigating life. Think about the literal thousands of hours we spend studying technical skills. We pour years into university degrees, certifications, all this specialized training, totally believing that raw knowledge is the key to a good life. Yet, there's this staggering study by the Carnegie Foundation that completely flips our traditional view of education right on its head. Get this. A massive 85% of your financial success actually comes down to your skill in human engineering. That means your personality and your ability to lead and genuinely connect with people. Meanwhile, only a tiny 15% comes from your actual technical knowledge. I mean, you could be the absolute smartest engineer, the most brilliant architect, or the most talented coder in the entire world. But if you can't navigate human emotion, your potential is just devastatingly limited. So think back to the last time someone harshly criticized your work. Did you calmly accept it? Or did your heart rate spike as you instantly built up this massive wall of excuses to defend yourself? Look, any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain. And frankly, most fools do. Criticism is literally like a spark in a gunpowder magazine. It instantly wounds a person's precious pride, puts them strictly on the defensive, and breeds this bitter, long-lasting resentment. It achieves absolutely nothing except making the other person want to fight you back. It takes true character and immense self-control to step back and offer the understanding that actually builds tolerance. Instead of condemning people, we really have to pause and try to figure out exactly why they do what they do. Which leads us to the art of making people like you. To build true connection, we have to completely shift the focus away from our own ego and shine the spotlight entirely on others. But listen, there is an absolutely critical difference here between cheap manipulation and real, authentic connection. It's the difference between flattery and true appreciation. We've all dealt with that slick salesperson who showers us with empty compliments just to secure a commission, right? That is flattery. It's selfish, it's hollow, and it comes purely from the teeth out. People can spot it a mile away, and honestly, it's as worthless as counterfeit money. True appreciation, however, that is unselfish. That comes directly from the heart out. It's like a genuine friend noticing the quiet, unseen effort you put into something and just expressing admiration for it without wanting a single thing in return.
Let's actually visualize what this looks like in the real world. Picture a noisy factory floor. There's a janitor there, and day in and day out, he's just doing a really poor job. His shoulders are slumped, his head is totally down, and he's just kind of aimlessly pushing dirt around with a broom. Worse, he's constantly jeered and ridiculed by his coworkers. They're literally throwing litter into the hallways just to mock him and show him how useless he is. Then enter a supervisor named Pamela. Now, it would have been so easy for her to take the logical route, right? Write him up, yell at him, or just fire him. Instead, Pamela waited. She watched patiently until one day she finally saw him do a rare, exceptionally good piece of work cleaning a specific area, and she immediately praised him for it, publicly, right in front of the entire team. That honest appreciation, it acted like pure sunlight. You could physically see his shoulders square up and his pride return. It completely transformed his efficiency. Today, that same man does an absolutely excellent job. Criticism failed miserably, but honest appreciation, it worked magic.
Now, moving on to winning minds without fighting, because disagreements are definitely inevitable, but arguments are almost always destructive. When you're facing conflict, instead of putting on your emotional armor, drawing your sword, and preparing for battle, I want you to try this entirely different approach to build a bridge. Step 1, consciously drop your defenses and begin in a friendly way. You know the old saying, right? A drop of honey catches way more flies than a gallon of gall. Step 2, you have to let them empty their cup of grievances. Let them vent. Just let them do the talking until they completely run out of steam. And finally, step 3, sincerely try to look at the situation completely through their eyes. Empathy disarms anger so much faster than any logical counter-argument ever could.
The legendary industrialist Henry Ford elegantly summed up this entire philosophy. He basically said, if there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from that person's angle as well as from your own. Trying to win minds isn't about repeatedly ramming your opinions down someone else's throat just to prove you're right. It's really about taking the time to see their angle, understanding what truly drives them, and then arousing an eager want in them. It's about aligning what you want with what they desire so that moving forward feels like a totally shared victory.
This brings us to inspiring others to change. The ultimate goal here is to become a beacon who inspires others to change, but doing so without giving offense. Think about the feeling of autonomy in your own life for a second. Compare the feeling of a boss walking right up to your desk and snapping, "Have this report done by 5 p.m., versus a leader walking up and asking, "Hey, what do you think is the best way we can tackle this report before the end of the day?" It's completely different, right? Great leaders like the famous executive Owen D. Dung understood this deeply. He almost never gave direct orders. Nobody likes to be told what to do. It insults our intelligence and limits our freedom. So instead of demanding strict obedience, he asked guiding questions. This is such a brilliant tactic because it lets the other person save face, keeps their pride completely intact, and most importantly, it allows them to take genuine ownership of the solution.
Imagine a struggling mechanic in a super loud, busy garage. Let's call him Henry. Lately, his work has suddenly become really shoddy. He's making mistakes, missing deadlines, and frankly, costing the shop a lot of money. His boss could have easily just fired him on the spot. I mean, that would be the easy, logical, strictly business choice. But instead, the boss took the emotionally intelligent route. He called Henry into the office and gently reminded him of the stellar, lightning-fast work he had consistently done in the past. He literally told Henry that he was one of the finest mechanics he had ever hired. He gave him a powerful, fine reputation to live up to. And the result? It was instantaneous. Henry immediately stepped up, completely restoring his past excellence. He simply couldn't bear to let down a boss who believed in him that fiercely.
And that beautifully illustrates our ultimate takeaway. This entire explainer isn't just a collection of clever corporate communication tricks to help you get ahead in business. No way. It is a profound, life-altering way to treat the people around you. We hold this immense power to literally transform the lives of our family, our friends, and our colleagues. Because while human abilities freeze and wither under the bitter frost of harsh criticism, they absolutely blossom under the warm sunlight of genuine encouragement. When you take the time to praise the absolute slightest improvement in someone, you are offering the vital sunlight that the human spirit desperately needs to grow. So, as you step back out into your fast-paced, noisy, and honestly, often critical world, I really want to leave you with a lingering thought. You are now armed with the incredibly potent magic of sincere appreciation, deep empathy, and the profound understanding that everyone you meet is fighting a battle for validation. The tools to completely change the dynamic of any room, they are right there in your hands. So, whose life will you transform today?